Hello, 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 my loves, and welcome to EQ with Jah. So, I wanted to talk about a topic that popped into my head, my heart. They talked about it, they said, let's do it. And I made a quote about it a while back, and it was coming to me in a way that was saying, be in use, not be used. Be in use, not be used. And I'm like, why is this hitting me over and over and over in my head? And why is this sounding this way? And for a minute, I had to step back. I had to step outside of Jawan. I had to step outside of my soul, which is Jah. And I have to step outside of both of these beings, these entities that represent both halves of my physical, my spiritual, my feminine, my masculine. They all represent something that I have to step outside of the avatar, the paradigm, the conundrum, all of that, and ask myself, what am I being in use for and not being used for by somebody else's design, creation, manipulation, whatever it might be? And a lot of times this happens to people in the form of what we call midlife crisis, where we feel like, why am I happening? What's going on in my life? I don't know. I can't even come up with the words, but that moment of panic of feeling like nothing is going right, or you feel like you have a greater purpose, or you have something you're supposed to be doing other than what the paradigm of conditioning said we're supposed to be doing. When you're waking up every day to go work a job, to live a life that could be perfectly functionally beautiful on the outside, but you're going home and going to work and waking up every day feeling completely empty inside, not caring, detaching, and thinking you have something wrong with you. This is where, again, the soul is not activated with its purpose, and the ego, the body, the flesh, is convinced that the world around it is who they're supposed to live for, which shut down your ability and free will to be a part of being used and as at your own will versus being used as somebody else's creation. Now, when you wake up from this moment of being used and walking into being in use, this is where one of those things where, for example, I kept laughing at myself because for a minute, I do a lot of writing and just stuff on the side, and I do a data entry type job, and then I work a lot with a lot of information all the time. And sometimes my physical body, the ego, is like, I don't want to write. I don't want to do nothing. I'm tired. I don't want to. And I can come up with all these different excuses, but it's not about the excuse of not doing it. It's about not listening to what my body is trying to tell me, which the body again represents the inner child, the child we were when we were a kid we weren't aware of our body, we were aware of our consciousness, and we listened to our parents and everything around us that absorbed it. But then once we get older, that inverts, with flips back. Now you have all this information, and now you have an adult body that you can do whatever you want with. This is why most people run off and jump straight into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that if you understand that this is a moment of enjoyment, not a moment of a lifestyle to live, and you get stuck in it, because then now you're not in use of enjoying what you were doing. Now you're being used by a system that teaches you, if you feel sad or down, drink. If you feel this way, get high. If you don't want to feel like you want to deal with your egos, go have sex with somebody you don't want to know and then leave. Like, these are all things that are created out of the fear of not allowing ourselves to just be in use of what we want to use something for, and be honest about it and walk away from it, so there's no attachment or guilt or shame that becomes being used with something. I have my own history of things with alcohol and stuff that I have learned to finally get out of my life, because I watched my father and all his energy that was trapped inside of me because he abused alcohol in a way that became some weird reflection of, oh, well, this is why they did it, so I guess this is why I should do it. And it took me a lot of years to really stop and understand, Juwan, you are being used by somebody else's abuse of themselves. You are being used by the idea of thinking that the only way to quiet the voices is to drink. And that's not the truth. All it does is amplify them. So that's when it took me into a level of shamanism, which was, okay, high or drunk or whatever the case may be, whatever you call it, if I'm in this place of not being within the body, but I'm the body, recognizing the soul out loud and everything that it sees in the way that it sees it, then I also have the ability to be like, wow, I can slow down. I could just sit down and just observe. I don't have to do anything. So we start getting involved with the substances that we start to put into our body. Again, may it be something you physically ingest, or may it be something that you read, something that you speak, something that you smell. These are all triggers to the emotional world of understanding ourselves and helping us get closer to a point of, my body is a tool that's meant to be used in this sort of way. And it's meant to be used to help this type of group. And it's meant to be used to see this type of mindset. So my body is able to do this. Like, I can't go teach people how to be short. I don't know how to be short. I'm tall. But I can teach people how to embrace their bodies, big or tall, because since I have a big one, I'm sure they could do the same thing with a smaller body. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of, we're two worlds that are the same, that we might not get to go and be in each other's perspectives all the time, but we at least get to experience what the body needs to adjust to each of our levels of ourself. So that being said, the body, had to agree, okay, so now that I see you through all the abuse, now that I see you through all the silence, now that I actually have given you a voice, again, that you deserve to have, which is our emotional body. When it gets anxiety, it's trying to release something. When we get sad and depressed, it's trying to say something. And instead of holding it in, we have to find a way to express it. Mine became doing a vlog. Mine became writing a blog. Mine became doing other things that allowed the soul, no matter how weird, goofy, kooky they seem to me. Because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff when you walk into the world of spirituality, you don't have to agree to it because it's the world of spirituality. You can be like, this don't make no sense. This is weird as hell. But when you start seeing that whatever the thing that you think is weird, well, that's another place of observation of why is it weird, because it's different. But then you can also understand that, well, this is weird because they think they have to do this to get to this next level, when really all they have to do is be aware of this and they'll get there. So there's a lot of things that you learn about spirituality when you walk into it, and you understand that the body can control none of it. That's why a lot of people choose to stay in the 3D world of fashion, politics, this and that in other people's life. That's easy. When it comes into the emotional world, the spiritual world, they go to see somebody like the church or religion and all that. That's great. Those are organized structures that are trying to teach you how to have another vision of getting closer to your source. It's not the only way. The other way is going out into nature. The other way is working out your body. The other way is reading. The other way is teaching. The other way is singing. These are all ways of letting your soul express exactly what it needs to say and do it, and however it needs to do it. May it be the way you make money or not. We have to remember ego, the ego that's watching this video and holding the phone. It's not about if we like the way it's presented. Sometimes it's just about the soul saying, look, this is what I'm feeling, because the soul feels everything. And if the ego's saying that's not perfect enough, that's not right, that's not good enough, okay, well, whose words are those? Ego, I need you to go back and trace where you got that from. Oh, okay, that's your parents, that's your teachers. Okay, we've done this merry-go-round before. If you're not even past the rudimentary area of being like, yes, everything I am and do has been conditioned by my parents and environment. With that awareness, do I choose to keep living in this paradigm of darkness and acting like I don't know? Or do I choose to witness, this is their life, I can respect it, but I choose to create my own outside of that, because the whole world runs outside of that. That is not our only world. We have so many more that if we choose to step into our divineness, which is divine feminine and divine masculine, these are the true parentals. These are the true nurturing aspects and protecting aspects of us who are meant to shine. It doesn't matter how I feel. I see y'all all need to protect it. It doesn't matter how I feel. I see you all need to be nurtured. Because in that moment, I'm not me. I'm a vessel being used to show love and show strength and showing a type of foundation and structure that now you can look up to. It's not easy being that, but that's the part of being the person who chooses to be the vessel. You have to find a way to express that energy so that God and spirit can keep speaking through to you. Okay? So this is that moment of saying, I'm in use. Jawan, the body, is in use for Jah, the soul, to speak through you, this video to you about emotions and the things that we've been through together. And then the spiritual aspect comes in when I'm talking about things that I personally have never understood, but comes out of nowhere when we're talking about stuff like quantum creation and stuff. That's not something that Jawan, has ever stopped to think about or quantify. And the soul might have some remembrance or like, yeah, this seems familiar to me. I'm interested in it, because that's the soul. When you're interested in it, that's the soul. The mind is only processing the interest, and then we find relevance in it through the emotional attachment we find, which is our value. So if we see this value, then we start to apply it to, oh, this is what the soul wants to do, because functionally I can see as the soul, I know I have something to say, but I don't know how to say it or where. I remember saying that in the very beginning before I started doing videos. I have something to say, but I don't know how to say it. And I don't know where to start. And everything was just like, talk about it. Well, who? Who? And it's like, everyone. And I'm like, with everyone? Everyone, talk about it. And I'm like, all right. And because that in me was a part of me that I was like, I don't ever run out of I never run out of content. I have books and books of titles and content and things that it comes to mind, I just jot it down. I can produce stuff for the next few years because I have piles of what the soul has been trying to get out. And me, the ego's like, I'm gonna go live my life. I'm gonna be depressed. I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna go get a job I don't like, but keep doing it. It feels trapped and not know why. And my soul's like, you know, we were better than this. All you gotta do is this. It's just as hard as it is to do a job you don't like. It's just as easy as it is to do a few tasks that you might not be used to or comfortable with, but will get you to a closer presence of your future self versus being stuck in the past of your old traumatized self. You understand what I'm saying? That's why when you're being used, you're traumatized. You feel abused, you feel stuck, you feel tired, you feel lonely, you feel isolated, you feel like no one can listen to you. You feel like you don't have a voice. Now, when you are in use, can't nobody tell you shit about yourself. I don't care about how I come off. All I know is you can't tell me nothing about me, because I know that I am sent here to do something greater than myself, which is to speak an emotional language that those who understand this emotional language will pick up on. And when their soul's like, goosebumps, he's speaking to me, that's the vibration of the tone that I was taught to have. My body was a finely tuned instrument that was already, once I was born, I was created to be this vessel to wake up those energies who heard my voice. The same for myself. I didn't like hearing my own voice, but once I do, sometimes I play the video back and I'm like, these are not my words. And that's when Jah, my soul, is like, I know they're my words, but you said it real good, so thank you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because there's moments when I do feel like I'm being used, but I'm not being used because I understand that I've chosen to walk the path of my soul. So therefore, I am now in use to be used the way the soul needs to remember how to do things. And as I keep allowing myself to be open to this ebb and flow and flux of life, then the soul can relax into the body because it knows I'm going to protect it. A lot of the times the soul stays awake like, you crazy, you gonna do this? No. Now the soul knows I can fall asleep, awake or not. Jawan gonna take care of us. He's gonna make sure we eat. He's gonna make sure that we got a healthy body. He's gonna make sure we get rest because Jawan loves us and we love Jawan. And then the soul's like, okay, great. Spirit, I'm open now. I don't have to do the work of the physical body because that is the job of us as humans, to do the physical body work, the functionality, so that the soul can do the purposeful work, which is the remembering, and then spirit can talk and speak through us, which is the futuristic, the energy, the everything, the power, the magic of all things that exist within our existence. So when I ask you, are you in use or are you being used? You should know right away, because this is the life that we create for ourselves. If you say, I don't know what that means, baby, you being used. If you say, well, yeah, I think I do know, but I'm not sure how to step out. Okay, well, you were being used, but now you're in use of understanding you have a purpose. So now that is your opening. Follow that purpose. What does that mean? Ask more questions. The more questions you ask of everything in life, everything you do, how you breathe, how you talk, how you walk within yourself, that helps you find balance. Because a lot of things, again, I was walking in a way that I was trying to seduce when I was younger. I was taught, walk this way. This is what seduction looks like. And then I learned, like, that's hurting my back and it's messing up my posture. And when I learned how to realize why I was doing things, I was able to say, oh, I wasn't even actually using my whole body. I was just being used by an image of what I had to do. And now I'm in use and my body's like, oh, I can breathe, I can move, I'm flexible. This is the moment I'm saying of the awakening, rebirthing into yourself and knowing that you have a bigger purpose than just being in somebody else's paradigm. Do not be used, my loves. Be in use to yourself, your soul, and spirit. I love you. I love you. I love you. As always, check me out on all my social media platforms. I am always here for you. Besos. Mwah, 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 mwah.